Hey everyone, it's Riley. This week I'm talking to my dad, John, about parenting a transgender child. So I'm going to ask him a series of questions, and you're going to answer and tell me all about your life as a parent.
Yes, I shall.
What were your first reactions when I told you that I was transgender?
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know that I had this big dramatic reaction. For me, whatever decision you've made about your life, about parts of your life, your identity, what you wanted to do as a job or whatever, I just support you.
Do you think that there were any clues early on, like in my childhood or in my teenage years or early 20s, that made you think I was trans?
When it came to the way you thought about life, the things that you like to do, the things that you like to do with your brothers, the things that you like to do with me and your mother, it made me think that there was a part of you that really felt that being a girl and everything that goes along with that just wasn't your deal. I don't know that I saw that in a conscious way, but I probably saw it in a subconscious way.
A lot of people think that they only can identify as transgender if they have been noticing it since childhood, or if other people have been noticing it since childhood. And for most people, that's not the case. So, you know, you saying that is a completely acceptable answer, because I wasn't putting you on the spot like, hey, you have to have known then, or like, I'm not who I am. Do you think our relationship has changed since I've come out as trans?
There was something about, I think, a combination of you going to Australia and also you changing the person that you are, changing your sexual identity and so on, that just made us closer. For a year and a half, we exchanged emails every day. And, you know, that's a pretty big deal. I think maybe I hope, helped you a little bit feel supported and know that even if you were getting negative feedback from others, that I was, that you know, I just wasn't going to say, okay, fine. I wanted to hear about it. I wanted to know about it. I wanted to understand it. But at the end of the day, it was, you know, I'm your dad and I love you, and that's not going to change. And I support you, and I want you to be happy.
Do people ever tokenize you or expect you to know answers related to trans parenting, or do they even ask you questions about it at all?
I didn't avoid the questions, but then again, I just didn't go around and tell everybody in my office. I think I know more than I did yesterday, but less than I'm gonna know tomorrow about what he's going through, and I misgender him still.
You've done good this trip. You've done a lot better.
Yeah, I know, and you know, it's important to me. And Riley's been very patient, but I think there was a point at the last trip where he kind of said, you know, Dad, you kind of ought to sort of get your shit together. And I had a couple either students or grad assistants that have come and asked me some questions, and I never answer anything I don't know, because I'm not impressing anybody with bad information. But one of the students that reports to me asked me, you know, some questions, because she was having a friend who was transitioning and having a really hard time with her friend's parents. They were just being evil and you know, threatening her, and you know, so I guess again, for me, it's not that I'm the encyclopedia of transitioning, but I listen and I try to pass along what my experiences have been, and what have been the best ways that I can be comfortable and successful.
How did you feel when I shared with you that I wanted to start testosterone?
I don't go through this big dramatic response. Riley's always been really good about explaining to me, because I do want an explanation. I mean, just because I'm very interested. And when when he explained that he was going to start having testosterone injections, I was like, hey, that's the deal. But you know, you got my support, and I know it's going to be scary and it's going to be different and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely recognize that for you it was the right timing. It takes everybody a different amount of time, and for Riley it was the best time.
It seems to me that it's nice that you don't have a big reaction, because people act like this is like the biggest thing in the world, and what they don't realize is you're actually the same person you've always been. I just find it so strange when people who know someone who's trans just have these giant reactions, and it's just so unnecessary.
Well, but I mean, don't you think part of it is that we have a kind of relationship where I've confided in you and you confided in me, particularly over the last few years. You know, we've both been through a lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel like they have to impress their parents and they have to keep things hidden from them, where you've always taught me kind of just to be an open book and wear my heart on my sleeve, and sometimes that ends up being a negative thing, but at the same time you can trust each other with whatever is going on. And with you and Mom, I had talked to you a few times about questioning my gender before I even came out as trans, so I think that was also why it wasn't such a big explosion, because it didn't come out of nowhere, and I felt comfortable sharing, and I guess I'm pretty lucky to have that relationship with you and Mom as well.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to either children that have unsupportive parents, or even to parents that are unsupportive? I know that's a bit difficult.
Sometimes we want our children to follow in our footsteps. If you want them to be independent and you want them to be able to make their own life decisions, you have to kind of, with a lot of love, set them free. And you know, trust that a lot of the things that you did when you raised them are going to help them make good decisions. I'm biased because there isn't any way that I would get angry or upset or whatever. I mean, I know not every parent is like that, so I respect that. But at the end of the day, you know, if you want to have a wonderful adult relationship with your children, whether they're transitioning or not, you've got to open up your eyes and take a look at the world from their viewpoint. Spend a lot of time listening. Spend a lot of time, you know, whether it's reading a book or talking to people that are transitioning, and maybe forego being judgmental, because I don't think that plays well in any aspect of anybody's life, especially our children.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful for some people out there. And please stay tuned for my upcoming videos in the future. Thanks so much for joining me, Dad.
Thank you for inviting me to this impromptu session.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I thought you were gonna do. You do realize anything you put on video, I can put on the internet.
Oh shit, I'm so damn worried. I have such a great reputation.
By the way, your chairs kind of make it sound like you're farting and passing gas, but I promise I'm not. I'm holding it in for you.
Those chairs were very expensive.